were made for episode 1?
Well, you know, we had worked on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles together, George Lucas and I, and Ben Burtt, and that was sort of a testing ground for making these prequel movies. And George never really pigeonholed anything about our sound. He was basically saying he wanted to do certain things, like similar to in the visual effects, and I was thinking in my brain, there's no way we can, you know, unless we just really go nuts with the technology here, there's no way to achieve it. And so he financially backed a lot of crazy ideas from, I was, you know, in my early 20s, and he went for it. And we worked in a non-linear fashion, basically, because we were just 5 years out from working in magnetic-based film, so it was all digital at that point. And so a lot of the first things we were asked to do were the pod race. And so we had all these ideas about the different engines and how every pod was going to represent the personality of each character. So I get to work with Ben Burtt, who was my absolute mentor.
That's right, Ben Burtt.
He came to me saying, yeah, so I might want to make a couple of things for these animatic sequences we're working on. It was a couple of years before the movie was done, and so Ben was down in the basement working on these ideas, making pods and running around Skywalker Ranch doing stuff. So I went out and recorded anything I could get my hands on. Anything, all different kinds of sounds for jet boats and helicopters and unmuffled Ferraris and all kinds of crazy stuff at this custom racetrack I went to. And so just gathering sounds, bringing them back, getting them ready to go for the tech that we were putting in place for this movie.
Well, the pod race, it's such a brilliant sequence, and I think what you forget when you're watching, you get so carried away, but there is no music score, is there? It's entirely reliant on your soundscape.
Yeah, music's really, I mean, obviously John Williams' music is incredible in this movie, but it's wonderful to also have the dynamics. To have the dynamics of a moment, the first lap of the pod race where there is no music and we're heavily relying on all the visual effects and all the sound to drive that scene, and we were given a huge canvas to work with. And that was a blessing. I've never actually had an experience like that on a film where there's been such a long sequence where to showcase our work like that.
Now, George says that sound is a character.
Yeah.
It's 50% of the Star Wars experience. You know, you can close your eyes, can't you, and you can recognize soundscapes from the prequel trilogy versus the original trilogy. Now, how did you approach creating a unique soundscape for these new films?
Well, just like Doug's design in a lot of the movie, we wanted to make it sleek, and it wasn't really well worn, because the original movies had this very gritty kind of feel that everything had been lived in, and it might be a hand-me-down ship you're in. And so a lot of just even the simple stuff, like the way a door opens, it doesn't sound like a big kerchunk. It has a very smooth gliding sound. We wanted to create a world that was going to have that, what Doug had created visually. We wanted to complement. So it's a lot of that. And the pod race was where we got to get really gritty, and there was a lot of, like, it was Watto's a junk dealer, like you said, and so a lot of that material was used and thrown together and patched together to work like that. So we used a lot of analog, real world stuff, engines and machinery to make that happen.
Do you have a favorite sound from the film?
Sebulba's pod, as one of my
yeah.
So throaty, like the juxtaposition that we made between Sebulba's pod and Anakin's pod, and Anakin was this high-end Porsche that I had recorded, and Sebulba's pod was basically a Ferrari that a guy kindly punched a hole in his muffler for.
That's probably why.
We
that's
recorded a lot of that, so that had that really low throaty growl, and that combined with a lot of the tech we used at the time to make that happen. So that sequence of those two pods were my favorite.
I always say that Matt's work makes our work look better, because he does such a good job of helping sell the illusions. Yeah, I always feel like we look at the shots over and over again in the screening room while we're working on them in silence, because we're talking about the shots, but then it's always a real, it's sort of a gift to see the whole thing together with sound at the end, and it really completes the illusion.
It's a symbiont circle. What affects you affects us. The sound and visual.
Yep.
John and Matthew, you both had cameos in the film, didn't you? Can you tell us about those?
Yeah. John actually shot my cameo, which was great, and then I recorded the sound of John's cameo. So that was also something we did. It was a fun day.
Very good. So where can we see you, John, for example?
Yeah, so I'm in the space battle. I'm the only pilot that you actually see get killed.
Yeah.
What happened? I mean, you couldn't get an actor to do it, or?
No, we second unit spent a day shooting miscellaneous pilot coverage, and I actually don't know what came over me, but at one point I asked, hey, George, might I be a pilot? And he said, yeah, all right, fine. And so I got kitted up and got in the cockpit. I didn't know whether they were going to use any of this at all. But what George told me was that the reason I'm the only one you see get killed is it's a pretty short shot, and I was the only pilot that had a beard. And because it was a short shot, they wanted to make sure there wasn't any confusion that somebody important got killed. It wasn't any the more recognizable pilots. Like, oh yeah, he's nobody, all right. Yeah.
Did you work on your shot?
Yes, yeah.
Visual effects, you did.
Well, I supervised the space battle, so yeah, I was.
So you made yourself look particularly good.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
Might as well say.
26 frames of glory, I think.
Oh wow, okay. Matthew, we saw you as...
Yes, mine was, we were, Rob and Gerlin, the casting person on the film, and George were, yes, there it is, I was taking notes on something. Actually, they were talking about some scene they wanted to work on, and I was taking notes, literally standing in the doorway, just kind of lurking, not trying to interrupt them. Robin kept looking at me, and George kept looking at me, and she's like, you know, do you want to go down to ILM later today? And I was like, okay. Yeah, because, you know, and George was like, yeah, Matt, you're kind of skinny and creepy. You could, you might fit into that.
Wow.
Because they'd already shot some material that was going to be cut out of the film, and so they wanted to repurpose Bib Fortuna for another scene.
Right.
And I guess I fit the model there.
Yep.
And, yes, that's before I had my direction from John. Because I walked out on stage like that. I'm thinking, okay, Bib Fortuna, Michael Carter, like, you know, and John's like, we're gonna go for a more serious bib in this one. So I just really, like, I was very serious in the whole thing, and I had to point at a light stand that was eventually gonna be Jabba the Hutt to wake him up. So that was a really fun day, about 5 hours of makeup, and I got to work with Danny Wagner, an amazing makeup artist, and lived the dream to be in a Star Wars movie.
Absolutely. With episode 1, obviously, as I told at the beginning of the show, came from the pestering George, but there was a moment actually when he felt a little bit guilty about sticking me back inside a rubber head again, because he said, you know, since you did Star Wars originally as Wicked, you've done a small movie called Willow, so I feel bad about it. He said, well, have you play another character during watching the pod race? And that character ultimately became the character of Weasel, who you then see again in Solo. But is it true that when you were working on the effects sequence in there with Watto, you used to call it like the Willow shot because I had the long hair in that shot? I've heard that that's kind of how you named that shot, identified it was like the Willow shot.
Maybe.
Yeah, I had hair extensions, by the way, and that wasn't my own hair. And the lady that put them in that morning, she sort of glued them all in. And come that evening, she didn't know how to take them out. So I had to go home like it and then have all my hair cut off to get these extensions. Yes, I do indeed suffer for your entertainment.
I think it's the only character we cut from your character, Walt, into the Willow type character. We cut, yeah, basically.
They are back
I think that's the only time in Star Wars we do that. We cut one actor every 2 cuts.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. Now, Doug, back to you, sir. You're still deeply involved with the creation of Star Wars. Just this week alone, we've heard you talk about your involvement with Episode 9.
Yep.
Disney's Galaxy's Edge. And The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Now, what have you done on Episode 1 that
He's
stuck
involved
with
in all
you
of them.
and you brought onto these projects?
Oh, just about everything. I mean, the lessons that I learned from George kind of, you know, influenced everything that I do now, and then even non-Star Wars films. And so, I mean, when I was working with George, I had the very good fortune to work with him for 7 years while he wrote. And I would say those are probably the best 7 years because, you know, I was literally going to George Lucas's art and film school, and with George as an instructor. And all my design sensibilities came from that working experience because at that time I could draw pretty well, but I really didn't know how to design for film. George taught me how to design for film. And so his influence, even though he hasn't like personally worked on any of these films, they're in there. Just like Ralph McQuarrie is kind of in everything that I do as well. So,
Right.
especially like in Galaxy's Edge and also The Mandalorian, is a lot of what I learned from George. So there is a bit
Ralph
of
McQuarrie.
George DNA in everything.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thank you, Doug. The ability to bring unique worlds, creatures, and breathtaking sights and visual effects to life has always been a main character of Star Wars. And we all thank you for your outstanding contributions and achievements, which has both expanded the realm of possibilities and provided amazing cinematic entertainment. Gene Bolte, John Knoll, Doug Chang, and Matthew Wood. Those four have left just in time because I feel a disturbance in the force.
Oh my God.
It was 20 years ago when we first heard those immortal words, always two there are.
Oh my God.
They will be no match for you.
The makeup and the horns, the lenses and the teeth. You just can't help being naughty.
I really feel I know about you. We've been intimates for the best part of 30 years.
Woo! Freaking awesome.
Like the man.
All of them.
Please welcome the dark side stars of the Phantom Menace.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Ray Park. Woo! And Ian McDermott. We love you, Ray.
Ian, you gave me a fright there. You stuck up on me. I hadn't even mentioned your name. I
Oh, I beg your pardon?
just gave you a moment.
I got my work. I'll go up again.
Do it again.
Right?
Indeed, the Master and the Apprentice. Wow, this is
Yep.
amazing to see you two both together again here.
Woo!
Now, Ian, before we start, I realise we're here today to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Phantom Menace, but after seeing your surprise appearance here at Celebration on Friday,
Exactly.
for the episode 9 panel, I do have to ask, do you have anything to tell us?
Friday, I just happened to be in the area.
Yeah.
I thought I should just drop in for a laugh.
Now, when you wrapped filming on Return of the Jedi all those years ago, did you have any idea that 16 years later you would be reprising your role again?
No.
Unbelievable.
No. Because, as you know, Darth Vader shut me down that tunnel. And I thought, well, that's the end. But I did say to George, you know, when I came up for air, I said, is he? And before I could finish the sentence, he went, dead, yes. Well, couldn't he perhaps? No.
No.
Dead. But wouldn't it be interesting if, forget it. So all those years later, when the prequels became a reality, I got that phone call again, and I had a very brief meeting with George, as I did the first time. And he said, do you know anyone who wants to play an emperor? I said, oh, but might be me. And he said, well, these two characters in the movie, there's this sort of hypocritical politician. I thought, yeah, I could do that. And then there's this other guy who we don't really get to know until later, but he's very dark and mysterious and kind of scary. And I thought, oh, that's the part I'd like. But I'm going to be a boring politician. So like everybody else, I didn't know that only two there were going to be.
Wow, wow. Now, Ian and Ray, you were actually the first two roles filmed on day one of shooting.
That's right, yeah.
So take us back there. What did the first day feel like? What was the mood on set? Ian, we'll start with you, sir.
Okay. Well, it was, once again, history was being made. Doesn't seem a pretentious thing to say. It was true. And Rick McCallum, producer, additionally does the first clapper.
Yep.
If the board was digital then, I mean, practically everything else was. And Ray and I were standing together, just having been introduced. He in his full makeup, and me not in mine, but just in the hood with the nose sticking out. I didn't need to go any further at that point, and we did that first scene together, a few takes, and off we went.
Wow.
I was pretty nervous, to be honest with you, because we've been rehearsing for so long. And for me, being 22, I thought it was a dream. I thought someone was joking with me. I'm not going to actually play this part. And we were actually Mr. Ian, and of course, walking, saying, talking, saying dialogue in my Cockney accent. And
That's good.
And I asked Ian, I said, "Is that right? Do you think I'm doing okay?" And so Ian really reassured me and he kept me calm, so it was good. It was a lot of fun, and an honour to do it with you. Who wanted to be your apprentice?
Oh, really?
Now, Ian, I understand you weren't given much background when you played the Emperor in Return of the Jedi.
That's true.
You weren't told very much.
No, it was all in this book, but I didn't even know he was called the Emperor when I first got the part, because I had a very brief meeting with George one lunchtime, and I went home and the phone was ringing, and my agent was sort of screaming up and down saying, "You've got the part." I said, "Oh, that's great. What's the part?" And he consulted his notes, which, very thorough. And he said, "Oh, he's called the Emperor of the Universe." I said, "Well, I guess we'll be doing it then."
So The Phantom Menace was the first instalment of his background.
That's right, yes. And well, as we all know, I mean, the Vader took over the world in terms of interest, evildoom. George, I think maybe he'd always planned it, but decided to tell his story. I had no idea how much my character would be part of it. And on the movie, it's the nature of these movies, and I love it. Nobody knows anything. And all the way through the movie, Liam didn't know that I was playing both parts. And just he flipped the pages. This is sort of serious guy. I don't think I'm in those scenes, and I don't. No, I want to learn that. And then at the
politicians.
when you said hi again, "It was you, you bastard."
Wow.
Now, as you mentioned there, not everyone, including some of the fans, knew that you were playing both characters.
That's
there.
right. And I didn't know myself, I should say, until that first day. And I thought they made a mistake. All the actors' characters get numbers. And I thought, they don't make this kind of mistakes, but I thought, I've been given the wrong number. Because I'm playing this senator. I don't know who this insidious person is at all. And then I realized. But to this day, nobody's told me that the two people were the same. I had to work it out for myself.
And then how did you approach the two different personas differently? I suppose you saw them as different characters totally, didn't you?
Yes. Well, of course, Sidious was sort of like the Emperor. He was the Emperor. Not fully achieved physically, although certainly intellectually. But George said a great thing one day on the set. He said, "You should think of your eyes, Ian's eyes, Palpatine's eyes, as contact lenses. So when you play the scene, your feet shouldn't really seem real." And that was a fantastic note for an actor, and it really made sense to me. So it was difficult to shake off. So when I went home, I felt I was going around in this terrible mask, and people kept saying, "You're all right. Why are you staring at everybody?"
Brilliant. Now, Ray, Darth Maul is a man of few words, so movement has become important. It's your language, basically. And yesterday, we heard Dave Filoni tell us that more action and fighting scenes created motion capture.
Yes.
Another secret that I kept for a long time, and I'll tell my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we heard all about those secrets yesterday as well.
It was a lot of fun.
How did you originally create this sort of body language that Maul has?
Well, as a teenager, I was very shy anyway. I wasn't very good at chatting up girls and trying to get, I wasn't that kind of guy. But I was, my body is what I knew. And originally, when I was brought in by Nick Gillard, I saw Darth Maul and seeing storyboards and seeing the images. I saw Maul as like a distinguished kind of like master. You see in Chinese movies, it doesn't really say much, but wouldn't look at you when he was doing action, but he was in full control. And I think just through my wushu background and gymnastics and being a big kid, because I wanted to be a Jedi, it was just a dream come true for me.
Yeah,
I'm working with Nick as well, and Andreas, and all the other guys that really helped bring everything together physically. Plus, we were playing games like Tekken and Soul Edge, and we were like copying things like that.
Oh yeah.
So we were having fun with the rehearsal, and we were just playing. And one thing was we wanted to make sure, because as being martial art fans watching movies, we wanted to make sure the fans didn't see any faults in the fights. There was no loopholes. Everything was technical and we weren't rapid and fast. We always wanted us to be super powerful. So.
Absolutely. Now, there's one iconic moment in the movie when those doors open and you ignite your lights. So tell us about filming that.
Well, it was great because I was listening to Prodigy at the time. And,
Prodigy.
Firestarter was my theme for Darth Maul, and the new album, in fact, The Land just dropped, and Andreas was really into it. We were both breakdancers back when we were younger, so I was kind of like getting myself geared up. I'm a Firestarter. But really, what I was thinking was, when the doors open, was, oh, thank God I got that cloak off. Because it was heavy and it was beautiful and it looked good, and the sleeves would get in the way, so it added a different texture to the fight in a desert level, which was really, really cool. But there was so much more I could do without the cloak. So that little smirk that you see when I'm opening, the doors open, that's like, yeah. You're never going to see it on again.
Yep.
So that's why there's a little smirk.
That's brilliant, that's brilliant. Now, Ray, I understand you also have a cameo in the film, which many people might not realise.
I do. It was on I was on such a roller coaster of a ride. Like I was, buzzing from being on Star Wars, being so young and working and rehearsing fights and working with some wonderful people. I had a day off, and Nick gave me a day off, and it was a Wednesday. I remember it was raining, and I kind of was making it. Oh, it's a shame I got a day off. And he goes, "Oh, you can come in, and you can be a guard." And I was like, what? And so he brought me on, and I was one of the guards.
We're going to take a look at that in a moment. But you say that, exactly the same thing happened to me. I was out in Tunisia filming with the pod race sequence, and I had a day off, and I didn't want to just sit at the hotel. We were making Star Wars, for goodness sake. So I went to the set, and I was just sitting watching, and George actually said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm just coming to watch, He said, "Well, I can't have you sitting there doing nothing. Go to the wardrobe department and makeup department and make yourself look different." So I kind of got a load of costume pieces, put them on, and had them make me up differently, and went back on, and they put me in the scene, just kind of walking through. And that day, Annie Leibovitz was there filming for Vanity Fair, doing a photo shoot. And I managed to get in those photos, so that's my result. There he is, yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. You don't want to sit around when you're working on a Star Wars movie. You want to sit in a hotel room, you want to be out there doing stuff.
Well, let's look at now the result of your cameo appearance.
Oh my God, that's Ray Park right there. Oh my God. Woo! That is cool.
Can I tell you a little story? I had to tame that down a lot. Rick McCallum,
Right
really
there.
got really
That's
well with,
Ray Park.
on set, and George, they were right up on the stairs, and Andreas was there, Nick was there. So I knew I was supposed to hide myself, but I wanted to get in front of the camera. So I'm walking, and as I come out, I hold the laser gun. And so Rick goes, "Hey, Ray, we're not doing a Tarantino movie again."
I thought you were going to say you kind of did a flip and a roll or something.
The flip and the roll, yep.
The boots, you know, they got in the way.
Oh, okay. Now, both of you, when you look back on your performances in this film, and the love that the fans have for your characters, are you happy with your performances? Start with you, Ray.
I'm very grateful. I never thought when I was a kid at 7 years old, seeing Star Wars and Empire. Empire was the movie that changed my life. And I decided I'm going to do martial arts, I'm going to be a Jedi, and I'm going to do gymnastics. And as a kid, I didn't grow up saying, hey, I'm going to be the bad guy. But I love it. I'm so happy. I would never change it. My life has changed because of Star Wars. I've met so many wonderful people. It's a wonderful man, you know, like, of course you, and, you know, so many great people along the way, and all of you guys too, you know. I have my moments when I want to eat my Oreos and a cup of tea and dip it in something, and then I think about it, I get posts from you guys, I'm like, oh, I've got to be Darth Maul, Snake Eyes, get out. So it keeps me motivated, so I feel
Ian, does it keep you away from the
Oh, I'm glad
Oreos?
you are.
You know me too well.
You know me too well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Ray. It's kept me young and happy. The thing which is wonderfully ironic, I mean, when I was 37, I think, I started out by playing 120. Along those lines, and then I went back to my own age, which was why I was able to do the part as the senator in the first movie. But throughout my life since I was 37, every now and again, an interval, a Star Wars movie came along while I was doing other things, other movies, other TV things, but mainly stage work, and also running a theatre. In fact, when we were doing The Phantom Menace, I was very pleased that we were at Leavesden, which was just about half an hour's drive from my theatre, so I could go in and do a bit of work in the morning and then go and do a bit of filming. So it's been very much sequentially part of my life. I was only very disappointed, of course, that at the end of Jedi, he was, as George said, no, he's dead. So, I made the assumption.
He ain't yet.
Yeah. And I guess that's how it will remain.
Remain with us for the time being. Star Wars is about both the dark side and, of course, the heroes. Episode 1 revealed many introductions and simple beginnings of a number of the most memorable and beloved characters. Take a look.
I need a navigator to
Woo!
I think everybody remembers when they were that kid who just didn't fit in. He has a good heart and he has good intentions and he wants to fit in.
Jar
He
Jar
wants to be
Binks.
with everybody else, but he just can't help it. He's just clumsy.
Right. You're quite right. He's very
Odd
odd.
indeed.
There's a protocol doing it. We help down.
3PO's always had a strange position in the world of Star Wars.
I can't believe it.
He is highly intelligent. Often he will tell the truth or give an opinion, but he kind of gets it.
They will never get me one of those dreadful starships. Please welcome two of the most memorable and entertaining Star Wars characters of all time. Ahmed Best!
Yeah! Woo! Yes! Anthony Daniels. Armin.
Well, happy 20th anniversary, gentlemen. Welcome.
Has it been 20 years already?
20 years, yeah. We all look good though, don't we still? Now listen,
You still sexy.
We still love you, Jar Jar!
your characters each turn.
Sorry, what?
Have I got to separate you two? I'll stick you over here next to the Emperor.
Oh,
That might be even better.
roll it again. Wow.
So, Anthony, welcome. When do you first recall George mentioning that, he was going to make more films?
Well, that was many years before this event, because when I was invited to be in the Star Wars back in 1975, there was just the one
That
film.
painting.
Of course, when it came out, we all know suddenly there was the 1V number, and I looked up and it meant episode 4, right? And at that point, it became common knowledge that George was saying he was going to do 1X, which would be 9, and I thought, well, no, he's not going to do that.
Yeah, come to say.
And, then there was this, we shot all these movies, number 6 it became, and then there was this tremendous pause in the universe, this sort of black hole of nothing for 16 years? And I'd sort of completely forgotten about the movies because I was busy doing all sorts of other things. But a lot of Star Wars stuff, like the exhibitions that you saw around the world, I would front those because, I shared Through-Pio's ability to be an MC, and one day I'll show you how to do it. And I was very popular at doing that, and I took Through-Pio and Star Wars around the planet. And then this call to go to a place called Leavesden. Yes, so I can't get him, and unfortunately driving me where it was. And then there was George, who was just George with, that voice. And so on. Your character, Through-Pio, is kind of made by and that sort of was the end of the conversation. And I was man of few words, and as you know, Ian. And I was really happy that I was made by Anakin because Sir Alec Guinness had been so wonderful to be in those original films.
Yes.
That to be created by him, I thought 3PO would be really proud until a few days later I suddenly, because I'd forgotten the details, all right, I was in the movies, but who was who? Too many people, too many characters.
But this was Darth Vader, for goodness sake.
I know, that's
Right.
what I was just coming to. That was my punchline, Warwick. This was
I said, whoa, wait, punchlines, they were way ahead of you. They know their stuff. They know who Anakin Skywalker is. They know he's Darth Vader.
Oh, right. It actually was shocking.
It was exactly like this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But no, to be realistic, it does explain, doesn't it, why 3PO is slightly nervous about everything. But not that he actually, I think, knows that Darth Vader is his daddy, okay?
Right.
So if anybody tells him ever, just it's your responsibility, live with the results. Because, let's keep it a secret, okay? You're getting a secret, aren't you, Ian?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Now, you said just then that you've helped me over the years become a better host.
And still it is a work in progress.
One thing is that I haven't learned from you, and thankfully I haven't, is your dress.